excited. I know you're actually leading a panel discussion at the conference.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give away all of the secrets, but can you give us a little sneak peek of what you and your team will be talking about?
Yeah. I mean, we're going to talk about regulatory and the rapidly changing regulatory environment and its impact around tax and tax complexity and its impact on business. And a little bit what I said before is you see businesses, 20 years ago, you walked down the street, you bought something in the store was local. It filed locally, it calculated with some rate table in the cash register, and if you think about what we just talked about with omni-channel, you can't think of that many businesses like that anymore. They're also on e-com, they're also on many channels. It makes the local business be able to be regional or national or even global. Small businesses can be selling global overnight now in the world that we live in. That creates tremendous complexity on tax compliance and is kind of bucking the status quo of manual in favor of automation like ours. But the other part of it that's really important is the regulatory change. We've had and continue to have a lot of regulatory changes around tax. The big one that people know a lot about is Wayfair versus South Dakota Supreme Court case that moved us from physical nexus, local store filing locally, but out of state didn't have to collect and remit, when they were selling from out of state, to an economic nexus. And that requires many more businesses to have to comply with more tax compliance in more jurisdictions. But we have more internationally. We've got Brexit, we've got Make Tax Digital, we've got e-invoicing, and there's more changes, ongoing in the US, and around the world. And so what we want to talk about in the panel is this ever changing regulatory environment and its impact on businesses today, especially as these businesses and CFOs are trying to change the business to evolve to an omni-channel world that is even more complex. And so we've got a great panel of leaders from industry and from the policy side, and we'll get really into how CFOs should be thinking about the complex world of regulation around tax and how that's changing and how that's affecting their business.
That's going to be fascinating because, when I talk to CFOs, just pressure to do a lot more forecasting and whatnot, increasing the roles more strategic, they're front and center. And yet it's not like these things they can just ignore. So
Right.
They're relying on, their team and some expert advice to, keep them out of jail, as we used to say, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I talk to CFOs all the time, and they do not want to be thinking about sales tax or VAT or GST, and they don't even want, if they have a tax team, they don't want them to be prioritizing that. My tax team are focused on a lot of other things that I would say are more important. So, it's helping people understand the regulation, how it impacts their business, as their business is changing, how they're going to run into some of these rules and regulations and changes, and then how they can leverage automation to make it something that they don't have to think about anymore. Is really our goal as an automation provider.
Yeah, it's good to get to that point. It's like your brakes in your car, right? I mean, geez, I really hope I don't have to think about them. It's not a good sign.
It's a set it and forget it mentality. Whatever machine that was, I forget now. It's set it and forget it.
We're going back a little bit, but I'm struggling too. So cool. Anyway, Ross, this was great. Well, thanks again for partnering with us at the conference. We're looking forward to seeing you. And that'll be June 7th through June 9th. I think you're speaking on the 8th. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, cool. So wonderful. So we'll look forward to seeing you on the 8th. Thanks.
All right. Well, likewise, and thank you. We'll see you soon.